Congratulations on another snow day. I was hoping we wouldn't have one so that we could talk about our research papers, but I am trying another video. Hopefully this will work out and you can all link to it. I want to answer one question that a couple of you have asked. Some of you have said that you cannot find articles about your characters, but let me kind of define for you what articles are. An article is not necessarily something that you would find in a newspaper or in a magazine, though for each of your characters I know that you could find something on them in a magazine or a newspaper. But what also works is Wikipedia is not a website. Wikipedia is actually an encyclopedia. So each of your characters is an entry in that encyclopedia, which makes it count as an article. Also, the Kentucky Encyclopedia. Each of your characters is an entry in the Kentucky Encyclopedia, and that also is an article. So there are two articles for each of you already. Wikipedia is online, but it's not a web page about Lincoln. It's not a web page about Mary Todd. I hope that makes sense. Feel free to call me or email me if that doesn't. But for each of you, if you're having trouble finding an article in some other sort of encyclopedia, you can definitely find an article for each of your characters under Wikipedia, and I've looked at all of them, and they're good. And you can also find them all in the Kentucky Encyclopedia. Also, I would like you to look at any Wikipedia article at the footnotes. The reason I want you to look at the footnotes is this is how we cite things. And we're going to be making note cards this week for each of our characters for our research papers. And Wikipedia is just a great resource for seeing exactly how footnotes work. So within the article, any encyclopedia or Wikipedia article, you're going to see little footnotes all throughout that article. And if you click on the number, it pops you down to the end of the page, the footnotes or the endnotes, where you can look at where they got that information. So let me go back to your actual assignment for this week. You are going to do your next spelling list. Please really study those spelling words. The grammar work pages 202 through 207, and that is adverbs. And we all know what adverbs do. They describe an adjective, a verb, or another adverb. So they do those three things. Be ready when you come back from spring break to take a little quiz on adverbs as well as your spelling. We aren't going to be using RightSource 2000 this week. We're not going to be doing additional history reading. You need to just focus on those books and those articles and those web pages that you have about your Kentucky history characters. I've also included this list of who all of you are. Ladies, remember, you're not doing your report on the woman that you're going to be in the monologue. You're doing your report on the man that coincides with that woman, unless you're Shelby and you are Mary Todd Lincoln, which we're all very excited to see. So let's quickly talk about what you're doing with your research paper. In Unit 12, look at pages 141 through 143. That talks about outlines and note cards. By the time you get back, March 17th from spring break, I want you to have your whole outline. And we all know that we start our outlines with a very clear thesis. Now, your thesis can be really general, like Abraham Lincoln was a president from the United States, and that's very vague. Or you can get very particular with your thesis, but you just have to make sure that your entire paper really backs that thesis up. So if you want to go ahead and send me a thesis, email me a thesis at any point in the week and say, hey, does this look like a good direction? I would be more than happy to respond, and I can respond really quickly on that. But so you're doing pages 141 through 143 in your Unit 12 book. And if you look, I hope you can see this, if you look at the outline, it starts with a thesis. This is page 141. Look at that thesis up there. It drives where everything goes. And then you have individual items that you're writing about. Now, you know that I don't care how you do it. You can do it just by individual words. You can do full sentences. It shows you both in the book. Do whichever is easier for you. And then on page 142, it starts talking about note cards. And we do these note cards so that we can easily footnote our information and easily have our information. Now let me talk a little bit about this. Here is the content of your note card. But up in the left-hand corner, you put the last name of where you got it and then the page number of where you got it. And that's so you can easily access it again. And then over on the right-hand side, you put where it falls inside your outline. So, if it's, if your topic is Abraham Lincoln's childhood, you would put childhood, family relations up here on the right. And the important thing about these note cards is you're not just putting the information that everybody knows, like the date that Abraham Lincoln was born, or just the stuff that you would find in every book, in every article, on every web page. You're putting the stuff that is more specific. For example, from the Wikipedia article about Lincoln, there's a quote that says, "Lincoln was remarkably fond of children." Now that's something that you can't get everywhere. You would get that from a specific source. So those are the sorts of things that you want to put on your note cards so that you can cite them, so that later on you can footnote it so that I know where you got it. Again, in your research papers, they are going to be 4 to 5 pages, and you're going to want some really good quotes about your characters. You're going to want to reveal things that maybe everybody doesn't know about those characters. And remember, who is Henry Clay? Okay, that's Michael Coburn and Lizzie. These are the hardest research papers to do because there's so much content on Henry Clay. You've probably figured that out already just with the research that you've done. So with your thesis, try to be a little bit more particular, and then try to build your outline so that you don't have to include too much information in there. Don't get too detailed into each of his individual compromises or any one topic that he really spoke about. But do be specific in the area of his life that you choose to highlight. And Lizzie, if you want to spend a little bit more time on his wife, that's fine, given that you're going to have to be her in the monologue later on. Okay, so this is all we're doing. We don't have no poems, no additional reading, no textbook. It is just focusing on building your outlines for your paper, giving a really good solid thesis, and at least 10 note cards. Ultimately, we'll have about 40 note cards, but by the time you come back from spring break, 10 note cards will be enough. Again, email me, call me if you have any questions. I guess that's it. Study hard.